Hello, everyone. Welcome in. Tonight is so exciting. This is the first night of Paranormal Files Live. Do you like the paranormal? Then you're going to love this show. Let me get chat up. Hello, Julie. Hey, Beach Nut. Hey, babe. Hey, Mary. Hey, Melanie. Hello, Kimmy. Hey, Tara. Welcome in. Hello, Wilcom. Hello. Judy Still, come on in. Hey, Shirley, how are you? Come on in. This is a brand new live, and you are able to take part of the first night. And we are going to have so much fun. Come on in. We're going to have a great time. This is going to be interactive. It's going to be fun. It's going to be spooky. It's going to be great. Hey, Tara. Thank you. It's so nice to finally just wear my hair. Hey, Palm. How you doing? Welcome in. Hey, Judy Still. Tonight we are going to be opening case number 1. It's gonna be chilling. Are you ready? Hey, boss man, if we could go ahead and start sharing the live, that would be fantastic. Start getting that word out that Paranormal Files Live is live tonight. Thank you, Palm. Thank you. Thank you for reposting. Let's share it to the FYP. Let's start getting the word out. I am so excited. This is a new channel, and we are excited to come in here and start sharing paranormal files from all over the world. Paranormal stories, maybe that you haven't even heard of before. Thank you for sharing. Thank you, Beach Nut. Thank you. I'll be right back. Citrine is in position. She's not gonna move. Not at all. Hey X, hey Sandra. Let's start sharing the live. Who's getting snow? If you are, I'm jealous. Very jealous. Here in South Carolina, it doesn't happen. It does not happen. So I am very jealous right now. Hey, Pastelina. Are you getting it, Mary? You like it? I will work on it as I go along, but I'm pretty happy with what I've got right now. Hey, Tracy. Hey, Jim Rocks. How is everyone? Hey, Pamela. Okay, don't pass out when you see my hair, okay? I told y'all I'm a ginger. I wasn't kidding. Hey, Bonnie Lass. How are you? I hope you got your thinking caps on tonight. It's gonna get real. Hey, Rose, welcome in. Welcome in, welcome in, welcome in. Come on in. If you like the paranormal, do you like ghosts? Do you like hauntings? We are going to cover it all here. Hey, over there in YouTube. What is up? I want to be able to see the chat. Why isn't it showing it to me? Live chat. There we go. Hey, White Channel. Thank you for sharing the live. The way that we're going to get known is by sharing. So let's share, share, share. Thank you all so much for the comments that I've seen throughout the day. It is just absolutely amazing. Amazing. Love you. Hello, Al. Thank you. Let's hit repost, 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 repost. Hey, Nikki. This is something that I've been wanting to do for a long time. The paranormal is something that is just near to me. I love it. I love the paranormal. I love ghosts. I love hauntings. I love the unknown. And so we are going to dive in deep. And I am so excited about the first case. Case file number 1. I'm gonna go ahead and start screen recording. I don't know, Paul. It should. Is that something that we have to work up to? I don't know. I know you do, Shirley. Thank you, thank you. Kelly, thank you for the follow. I'm getting ready to put one now, X. I'm also seeing something about a super fan goal. I'll learn that here in a minute. Or tomorrow. Maybe tomorrow. 5 minutes. 5 minutes till I unlock our first case. Are you excited? Let's share it. Share it with friends, family, co-workers, neighbors. You got 5 friends, 15 friends, 10. I missed a few in there, but let's get it out there. Cece, thank you for the follow. Thank you, thank you. I'll have to figure that out. Is anybody else not able to pin? What do you think of the background? Does it look spooky? Thank you. Thank you, thank you. Let's get those likes going. Those likes are gonna activate this live and gonna get people to start coming in and discovering us. Thank you so, so much. Oh, you got it to pin? Okay, there we go. I wonder what the problem was. Thank you all. Three minutes. Hey, Emma Bama. Hey, Peanut. Welcome in. Two minutes. Hello, hello, hello. Tonight is the first night of Paranormal Files Live. All we explore here is the paranormal, and we're going to have fun doing it. Welcome in. If you know someone that was on Twisted Tales Live and you're not sure if they have the message, go ahead and shoot that out if you would. How are you doing, Tracy? Make sure to send out your dailies, your Go Populars. Amy, hello, how are you? Share, 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 like. Tap, tap, tap. We'll finish this song and then we'll go into it. Thank you, thank you, thank you. Now this is going to be a different experience, okay? I hope you're ready. There is going to be audience interaction, questions, and one of the most chilling stories. That's true. Hello, Mia. How are you? If you haven't followed, please do so. Thank you, Mia. Thank you. Hey, Bonnie Lass, how are you? I love your name. All right, let's test the music. Let's make sure the music is good. Can you hear it? Hello, David. Hello, Nicole. Oh, Mia, I see you in there. I see Kelly. Thank you all so much. Music is working fine. How does it sound over in the white channel? Great. Welcome to Paranormal Files Live. This is night 1. and our first show, and I am so excited about this stream. On this show, we are going to explore the paranormal from all over the world. We're going to explore haunted houses, asylums, graveyards, you name it, we're going to do it. And it's going to be fun. But this is going to be an interactive experience. This first case is chilling. I have did so much research about it over the past few days, and I feel like I know it like the back of my hand. But there is so much to cover. Case number one, we are going to be delving into a case that rocked New England. You probably know what it is now. A case that rocked a town called Salem. Case number one, the Salem Witch Trials. Are you ready to dive in? Let me see it in the comments. They say that you can hear them screaming. On Gallows Hill in Salem, Massachusetts, when the wind blows just right, you can hear the creak of the rope, the snap of the neck, the final gasp of the innocent. 19 voices, 19 souls crying out for justice that never came. But tonight, my seekers of the paranormal, tonight, I am going to give them their voices back. Welcome to Paranormal Files Live, Case 1, the Salem Witch Trials. Good evening, seekers. I'm Bryn Morgan, and tonight we open a file that has been sealed by history, whitewashed by time, and buried beneath centuries of lies. But before we descend in tonight's darkness, I need to know who's seeking the truth with me tonight. Drop in the chat right now, seekers. I want to know, where are you watching from? What state? What country? I want to see how far that our circle of truth seekers extends tonight. Maryland, Washington, Michigan, Pennsylvania, Minnesota, look at that, PA, Virginia. We've got seekers from all these locations. The truth brings us together from across the world. I'm from South Carolina. Now, important question. How many of you have heard of the Salem Witch Trials before? Drop Salem in the chat if you know the case. Drop new if this is your first time, your first deep dive into this case. Salem, 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 Salem. So everybody's pretty familiar with it. Salem, Salem, nice. And for those who do know Salem, quick poll before we begin. Well, we won't do a poll yet, but do you think that the accusers were deliberately lying? Or did they genuinely believe that they were bewitched? Drop lying in the chat if you think they were lying. Drop bewitched in the chat if it was real. Bewitched, lying. Who else? Okay, so we've got some that believe it was lying, some that believe it was mass hysteria. So a fascinating split here. Keep those opinions in mind, seekers. I'm going to challenge everything you think you know before this night is over. Case file: the Salem witch trials. Location: Salem Village, Massachusetts Bay Colony. The date: January the 16th, 1692 to May 1693. Victims: 24 confirmed unalived. 200 accused. Countless lives destroyed. Perpetrators: a community. An entire community that chose schmurder over mercy. Now, this isn't a ghost story, seekers. This is something far more terrifying. This is a true crime investigation into how mass hysteria, religious extremism, and the lies of children created America's bloodiest witch hunt. For the next several nights, there's no way we're going to cover it all in one night. I'm going to walk you through the case step by step. We're going to examine the evidence, interview the witnesses through historical records, reconstruct the timeline, and we're going to answer the questions that have haunted historians for over 3 centuries. How did this happen? Why did this happen? And most importantly, could it happen again? Tonight is night 1, the origin, how it all began, the first symptoms, the first accusations, the first interrogations. This is where the nightmare was born. So dim your lights, seekers of the paranormal. Lock your doors and follow me back to a frozen January night in 1692, when 2 little girls decided to play with the devil. Before we dive into the horror of this case, we need to understand the landscape, because Salem in 1692 isn't like any place that you know. This is a powder keg that is waiting to spark. Salem Village, which is now called Danvers, is a small farming community. It's about 5 miles inland from Salem town, the coastal port. It has around 550 people live there. Everyone knows everyone. Everyone watches everyone. Privacy doesn't exist. And this community is fracturing, and I'll tell you why. There are bitter disputes over land boundaries, fights over who should be the minister, feuds between families that go back for generations, the Porters versus the Putnams, the old guard versus the money, Salem town's wealthy merchants versus Salem Village's struggling farmers. And then there's the fear, constant, gnawing fear. Just 60 miles north, there's a brutal war that is happening. Now, King William's War is what is going on. English colonists versus French forces and their Native American allies. Refugees pour into Salem with horror stories of villages burned, families massacred, children taken captive. Some of these refugees are living in Salem Village right now. Mercy Lewis, who will become one of the chief accusers. She watched her parents murdered by Wabanaki warriors, and that trauma lives in her bones and is very important in this case. The Puritans are a peculiar people, strict. They believe that they have been brought to this place, it's a promised land. And Satan is literally real and actively trying to destroy them. This isn't metaphorical, okay? They believe that Satan is real. They believe that the devil walks the earth, recruiting witches to sign his book in blood, sending demons to corrupt Christian communities. Every misfortune is a sin. You get sick, it's a sin. You must have did something to get sick. A cow dying is a sin. Milk souring is a sin. A child dying is a sin. A child's fever is a sin, and could be a sign of witchcraft. So when something truly strange starts happening, when children start convulsing and screaming about invisible tormentors, they have only one explanation. The devil has came to Salem. Seekers, I want to ground you in this time period. What do you think was the biggest fear for people living in Salem Village in 1692? What do you think kept them up at night? Do you think it was Native American attacks from the frontier wars, starvation and harsh winters? Or do you think maybe that it was disease and death? Or maybe Satan and his demons? Or was it something else? Let me know in the chat. I think that it basically in this time, in this day and age, I think it was everything. I think that they were terrified of being attacked. Shirley agrees with me. Pamela agrees with me. I think it was a mix of all. I think it was the fear of being attacked. I think it was the starvation. They were afraid that they might not have enough food. It was harsh winters. The weather conditions in Salem, Massachusetts was brutal. Absolutely brutal. They also feared Satan and demons. They feared disease and death. They were a very fearful people. So yes, Shauna, I believe that it was a mix of all. So you're all seeing different signs of the puzzle, and you're all correct. But here's what's crucial, seekers. They believe that all of these were connected. A bad harvest, Satan's work. A child's fever, possibly a witch curse. An Indian raid, well, that was the devil using savages to destroy God's people. Can you imagine living with that mindset in 1600s, believing that everything that happened that was bad was because of demons, because of witches, because of God's mark upon you, because of not being acceptable in God's sight, so he was bringing sin on you. What a absolutely horrible and terrible way to live. Can you imagine that? In today's world, when something goes wrong, what do we blame today? Drop in the chat. What do you think? When something bad happens, what's your go-to explanation for it? I know a lot of people blame politics, corporations, we blame the system, we blame social media, technology. But in 1692, they blamed the devil. Plain and simple. It was a different scapegoat. It was the same human need to find someone or something to blame. Remember that pattern, because we will come back to it. Now, let me introduce you to the first key players in our investigation. The people who will set this nightmare in motion. My first one that I want to introduce you to is Reverend Samuel Parrish. Now, he was age 39. He was Salem Village's minister since 1669. He was a former merchant from Barbados who failed at business. And so when he failed at that, he turned to preaching. He's paranoid, he's controlling, and he's deeply unpopular. No one likes him. The village fights him constantly over his salary and his housing. He sees enemies everywhere. And soon, he'll be proven right. Or will he? The second one is Betty Paris. Now, she's age 9. She is the minister's daughter, and she is a quiet, obedient child that is raised in strict Puritan discipline. I want you to try to picture this. Children back then, there was no playing, no laughing, no joy, just prayer, scripture, and the constant reminder being pounded into her by her father, who was the Reverend of Salem Colony, that she's born in sin and deserves hellfire. 9 years old. Then we have Abigail Williams. Now, she's age 11. She is Reverend Paris's niece, and she's living with the family. They took her in. We don't know what happened to her parents. They're just gone, dead, abandoned, lost to history. But Abigail is different from Betty. She's bolder, she's angrier, she's hungrier for something more than this suffocating life. She cannot stand it. And then there's Tituba. Now, Tituba Indian, and that's how she's listed in the records. Her last name is known as Indian. Her last name is literally Indian, though she's actually probably from Barbados, possibly of Arawak or African descent. Her age is uncertain. She's probably mid-30s. She's enslaved by Reverend Paris, who actually dragged her from the Caribbean to this frozen Puritan hell. She cooks, she cleans, she cares for Betty and Abigail. And on cold winter nights, when Reverend Paris is out arguing with the parishioners on whether he can get wood to have a fire in his parsonage, she tells the girls stories. Stories of her homeland, of spirits and magic, of a world beyond Puritan grimness. And this is actually where it all begins. Seekers, I need you to use your imagination here. Imagine with me for just a moment that you're a 9-year-old Puritan girl or boy. In 1692, your entire life is this. No toys, no games, no music except hymns, no books except the Bible, constant reminders that you're sinful and deserve hell, prayers for hours every day, and church services that don't just last for 2 hours, they last for 8 hours or more. At that age, I wasn't even able to sit in church and be still for 30 minutes, much as less 8 hours. Can you imagine that? It's no childhood. You're right, Palm. It's no childhood at all. How would you rebel? What would you do to escape that life, even for a moment? Drop in the chat. I remember plenty of times. Hey, Rebecca. I remember plenty of times that I was called out in church because I was just a mischievous, red-headed, freckled little girl who could not sit still. I was called down from the pulpit many, many times. Okay? But back then, Shirley says, pretend I'm sick. Kelly says, dream. It's no type of a childhood. Bonnie says, read a forbidden book. Tracy says, probably get into trouble. So I don't know if you know this, but back in the Puritan days, when you were in church and you were caught sleeping or not paying attention to the minister's sermon, you were hit with a rod. Pop, to wake you up. I mean, it would not have went very well for me. I would have had bruises all over my body. So that's what makes this so tragic. Seekers, these girls weren't monsters at the start. They really weren't. I mean, they were just bored, trapped children that were looking for something, anything, to break the monotony. So, be honest with me. How many of you, when you were kids, told a lie that spiraled out of control? I did. Where you knew you should stop, but it just got too big for you. And before you knew it, it had just snowballed out of control. Drop guilty in the comments if you've been there. I dated more than once. I admit it. And I'm okay with that. But have you ever did it? Had a lie that started out so small and then it just kind of grew. And then you just didn't. So apparently I'm not alone in that. Bonnie Lass says guilty. Palmon says guilty. Shauna says guilty. Shirley says guilty. You were never guilty, Pamela? Emma Bama says guilty more than once. Yeah, I used to have to go out after I was told, after I told a lie. My grandmother would make me pick a switch from the tree and she would tan my legs. Tan them. Never? Wow. I plead the fifth, Tonga Jean says. Okay, sure. So look at that. Most of us have been where these Puritan girls were, haven't we? Now, imagine that your lie that you tell doesn't just get you grounded. It gets people executed. It gets people unalived. That's what happened here. Oh, I just got cold chills. Keep that feeling in mind as we go deeper. So I want you to picture this, seekers. It's late January 1692. The snow is piled high. The wind rattles the windows. And Reverend Paris is out again, arguing with villagers about his firewood allotment. They wouldn't even bring him wood. That is how much that they disliked him. So I want you to picture this drafty old house with no heat. And these two girls, along with their maid, Tituba, are wrapped up in a blanket. And they're trying their best to stay warm. There's a couple pieces of wood on the fire, but it's not really even scratching the surface. Inside the parsonage are those three females. And they're huddled near that small kitchen fire. Betty and Abigail are supposed to be reading scripture, as they always are. But scripture is boring to them on this particular night. Scripture is the same verses over and over and over again. And these are some of them that they had to read. In sin did my mother conceive me. The wages of sin is death. On and on and on. These girls on this particular frigid night, they want something else. They want something exciting. They want something forbidden. And Tituba knows how to give it to them. So Tituba sits by the fire. She's stirring the pot. The girls watch her and they're fidgeting. And then Abigail is eager and she's wheedling. Tituba, tell us a story, please. Not the Bible, a real story. So Tituba is warm and slightly teasing toward her girls. She loves them. A real story, child? Reverend Paris, he says the Bible is the only real story. And then Betty, who is quiet and nervous, she says, but Father isn't here. And then Abigail, the bolder one, says, tell us about the spirits. The ones from Barbados. Do you remember them? Tituba laughs softly. Oh, I remember. The spirits there, they're not like the devil your father speaks of. They're not all evil. Some mischievous, yes. Some dangerous, but some just exist alongside us. Abigail leans in closer. Can you see them? The spirits. Tituba's very cryptic. Some people can. Some people born with the sight. Some people learn. Then Betty whispers, could we learn? And there it is. The question that changes everything. Tituba looks at these two girls, one that is timid, one that is bold, both desperate for something beyond their gray, joyless existence. This is the turning point. She can make a decision, tell them to go back and read the scriptures, or show them just a little bit of magic. Tituba's conspirator. You want to see the future? You want to know what man you'll marry? Abigail is all excited. Yes! Oh yes, can you show us? And then Betty, who is frightened, but she's also curious. Should we? Isn't it sinful? Tituba is dismissive. Sinful? Child, it's just reading signs. Like reading clouds for rain. Like reading bird flights for weather. Just reading. So Tituba pulls out an egg and a glass of water. This is Venus glass divination. It's an old folk tradition where basically you crack an egg, you drop the white into the water, and watch what shape that it forms. That shape reveals your future husband's occupation. It could be anything. It could be a ship, a sailor, a plow, a farmer, simple, harmless. Or so it should be. Seekers, be honest with me. How many of you have done some form of fortune telling? And be honest. Tarot cards, Ouija boards, palm reading, astrology. Drop yes if you've dabbled in divination. No if you never have. Shirley does cards, Kelly has, Sandra, X, James, Amabama, me, Amber, yeah. Shauna says no, Mia says yes, Kim says no. So look at that. Most of us have tried something. And did you burst into flames? Did Satan claim your soul? No. Because it's just curiosity. It's just humans trying to feel like we have some control over an uncertain future. I did the one where you take the ring and you put it through the thread through it and you swing it over your belly. And it's supposed to tell you if you're going to have children, a boy or a girl. My grandmother, who was psychic, taught me that. And sure enough, I had a girl. So all of us, for the majority, have tried something. But in 1692, Puritan, Massachusetts, this was literally making a contract with the devil. So Tituba grabbed the glass and the egg. Come close now. Watch the glass. See how the egg white swirls and settles. What shape do you see, Abigail? Abigail is breathless and leaning close. She looks down. I see a hat. A tall hat. My husband will be a gentleman. Tituba is amused. Perhaps. Or perhaps a merchant. Or perhaps you just simply see what you want to see, child. And then Betty, who has been very quiet, says, let me try. I want to see too. They crack another egg. Drop the white into the glass. All three lean in, faces glowing in the firelight. The egg begins to swirl, settles, and forms a shape. And Betty, 9-year-old Betty, sees something that makes her blood run cold. she whispers. That's not a hat. Abigail, what is it? What do you see? It's a coffin. A coffin shape. Tituba, why do I see a coffin? Tituba is suddenly worried. No, child, you misunderstand the shape. It's not. But Betty is backing away and her voice is rising. It's a coffin! I'm going to die! I'm going to die and go to hell because we did witchcraft. We did the devil's work! Abigail is trying to calm her. Betty, no, it's just a game. It doesn't mean anything. But Betty is hysterical now. Father will know. God will know. We'll all burn in hell forever. Betty flees to her room. Tituba and Abigail exchange worried looks because they know that what they did was a sin. A coffin, an omen of death. And that night, Betty Paris begins to exhibit symptoms that will birth a nightmare. What do you think actually happened, Seekers, during that fortune telling that scared Betty so bad? Do you think that she genuinely saw a coffin shape and freaked out? Do you think that she felt guilty for doing something forbidden? She had an EGOT poisoning hallucination, which we'll get into here in just a little bit, or she was already planning to fake illness and use this as her excuse. What do you think? Drop it in the comments. Personally, in my opinion, I feel she may have very well seen a coffin shape and freaked out about it. I think she also knew that what they had did was considered to be a sin in God's eyes, and not only in God's eyes, but in the eyes of her father. I think those are the two that are the most real for me, that I think, probably caused issues there. Shirley says her imagination ran wild. I do believe that. I definitely do. I think that was part of it. I think her imagination went wild. She was 9 years old. She was terrified. She knew that she had sinned, and it was just a horrible thing. Hey, Tanya Jean, how are you? Glad to see you in here tonight. And they're all valid theories. We'll never know for sure. But here's what we do know. That moment changed everything. That moment set 24 people on the path to being unalived. Set them on the path to death. Now, Seekers, here's where we need to look at the evidence like investigators. What exactly happened to Betty Paris? Let's examine the historical records and witness testimonies. That night, January the 20th, 1692, at approximately, Betty began screaming in her sleep. Not normal childhood nightmares, screaming as if she's being tortured. When Reverend Paris comes in, he finds her in a position that should be physically impossible. Her body is rigid. She's arched backward. Her eyes are rolled back in her head. Over the next few days, the symptoms just escalate. And let me show you what the historical records subscribe. So, She contorts her body into odd postures. Contemporary accounts say that she would have tucked herself under furniture and into spaces that were way too small for her to fit for a 9-year-old girl. She experiences violent convulsions. Her limbs jerk and flail. Her back arches. Her head snaps back. She screams during prayer. When Reverend Paris tries to read scripture, Betty clamps her hands over her ears and shrieks as if the word is physically hurting her. She throws things. Specifically, she tears pages from the Bible and she clamps her hands over her ears. She throws the Bible across the room during devotions, which is the ultimate Puritan taboo. She makes sounds that aren't human. She starts barking in front of her father, howling, grunting, speaking in voices that sound nothing like her own. She claims to also feel invisible hands pinching her, pricking her with pins, choking her. She shows marks on her skin, red welts, scratches that appear suddenly out of nowhere. She enters trance states where she doesn't respond to her name for hours. She doesn't blink. She barely seems to even breathe. And she speaks of visions, dark shapes in the corners, creatures with glowing eyes, a tall man in black who whispers promises and threats. Okay, Seekers, now we get into the real investigation. Time for you to be the detectives with me. Based on these symptoms, what do you think was really wrong with Betty Harris? Now, here are some potential diagnoses. Ergot poisoning. So, ergot poisoning was a fungal hallucination from contaminated grain. Okay? It was a psychological breakdown from religious trauma. She knew she had sinned, she felt guilty about it, and started exhibiting these symptoms. Epilepsy, or another neurological condition, perhaps. Deliberate faking for attention. Like she knew that if her father knew she had did it, but yet if she put on this act, that he might overlook that, and instead of being angry and furious with her, he would feel bad. Genuine demonic possession. Hey, I'm not here to judge. It's possible. A combination of factors. What do you think that it was? Possession, Pastelina Pink says. Shirley says possession. Shirley says epilepsy. Palm says possession. Shauna says combination. I think it's a combination. I really do. Right, Alabama. I think it was not wanting her father to know about it. Kelly says that it could have been sickness. It could have been a mixture of many different things. What do you think, James? What do you think it was? Good to see you here tonight, by the way. I do think that as the case goes on, I do think that there was some acting going on. But when I hear the part about contorting her back and her neck snapping back and different things, I kind of have the feeling of leaning toward possession. So I'm very split on that too. But excellent work, Seekers. I'm seeing your responses. And I believe that most of them believe that it could have been possession, poisoning. And then Shirley says, I think maybe her guilt just took control. I think that was paramount in it. I really, really do. Here's what makes the case so challenging, though. All of these are possible, and we'll never know for certain. We never will. Let me give you the modern theories that historians and medical experts have proposed down through the centuries. Theory 1, ergot poisoning. So, ergot is a fungus that grows on rye grain in damp conditions. It contains compounds that are chemically similar to LSD. Symptoms include convulsions, hallucinations, crawling sensations on the skin, and muscle spasms. Salem had a particularly damp growing season in 1691, and ergot poisoning was absolutely entirely possible. Theory 2 was psychological hysteria. So Betty is a child that is raised in extreme religious terror. She's told daily that she's sinful and deserves damnation. So she's racked with guilt over fortune telling, and her mind breaks under the pressure, manifesting physical symptoms. The more attention she gets, the more the symptoms intensify. And this is a well documented case in psychology. Theory 3, deliberate deception, which is one that I kind of lean toward as well. Betty is consciously faking to avoid punishment for the fortune telling from her father. Once she realizes the power that her affliction gives her, she can't stop, or she won't stop. And then theory number 4 is a combination. Maybe Betty starts with genuine symptoms. Maybe it was a touch of ergot poisoning, a psychological break, and then consciously or unconsciously exaggerates them. I faked being sick when I didn't want to go to school as a child. It was very, very easy to do. Heating up a thermometer with a blow dryer. So he calls in Dr. Griggs. And Dr. Griggs is the doctor in Salem Colony in 1692. And he comes in, he examines Betty. So if you were Dr. Griggs in 1692 examining a child with these symptoms and you had no modern medical knowledge, basically just a country doctor, what would you conclude? Be brutally honest. If you knew all the symptoms that were being exhibited, what would you think that they were? I would honestly say I think I would lean more toward a supernatural explanation of it. Again, I go back to the contortions, the neck snap, eyes rolling back in your head. I think as a doctor, if I was called there, I would think it was something that was supernatural. But what would you think? So Paul Mom agrees. The supernatural explanation. Mia agrees. Shirley agrees, says it's paranormal. So I really don't know how you would get around that, to be honest with you. Tracy agrees. Pastelina agrees. Right. So most of us would probably reach for supernatural explanations too, because you'd have no other framework on it to understand it, honestly. So that's the tragedy here, is these people weren't stupid, not at all, but they were working with the knowledge that they had in the 1600s. They worked with it. So we'll never know for certain what was wrong with Betty. But what we do know is this: Betty's symptoms become contagious. How? Oh, it spreads around Salem Colony very, very quickly. So, 11-year-old Abigail Williams, who was with Betty that night that they did the fortune telling, develops identical symptoms to her cousin. And then 12-year-old Ann Putnam Jr., daughter of Thomas Putnam, one of Salem's most powerful and vindictive men, starts exhibiting the same symptoms. Then 17-year-old Elizabeth Hubbard, who works for Dr. Griggs, exhibits the same thing. Then 19-year-old Mercy Lewis, the orphan servant who watched her parents murdered by the native warriors. Then Mary Walcott, Mary Warren, Susanna Sheldon, and more. By mid-February, there are 8 to 10 afflicted girls and young women in Salem Village exhibiting all the symptoms that Betty had, all exhibiting the exact same symptoms, all claiming that invisible forces torture them. And the Puritan community, they're terrified. Absolutely terrified. So Reverend Paris calls for prayer and fasting. The community gathers in the meeting house, begging God to deliver them from this evil. But the afflictions don't stop, unfortunately. They only intensify. This is where it really gets interesting, seekers. Why do you think that the affliction spread to the other girls? Do you think it was contagious hysteria? Like they genuinely started experiencing symptoms after seeing others? Do you think it was social pressure, like they felt left out and wanted to join the group? Do you think it was conspiracy? They coordinated to fake this together? Do you think it was some same environmental cause, either the ergot poisoning or trauma affecting multiple people? Or do you think it was just attention and power? They saw the power the first girls had, and they wanted it too. Again, I think in my personal opinion that it was contagious hysteria. I think it was also social pressure. I think it could have been conspiracy. And I don't really know if I lean toward ergot poisoning. I mean, maybe. And I think that it was attention, and I think it was power. So that's like the only one that, that I'm leaning away from would be the same environmental cause. Okay, so Scare Hunter says hysteria. Tracy says sickness from ergo poisoning. I mean, that's possible. Pastelina says contagious hysteria. And then Melanie says, I think that they had the connection of the preacher. Very possible. And then Shirley says an unknown illness. Great insights, seekers. I'm seeing all these theories in the chat. The truth, I definitely think that it's probably a major combination of all of them. Have any of you ever witnessed contagious behavior, like in schools or social groups, where one person starts something and suddenly everyone's doing it? Drop examples in the chat if you have. So, really, this is just human nature. Seekers, we're social creatures. We mirror each other. We want to belong. And in high stress environments, that mirroring can become pathological. It definitely can happen. That's right, Pastelina. It's called a trend. We follow trends. I'm sorry to hear that, Melanie. Including very dangerous trends. I believe in you, Scare Hunter. I agree. I think they were faking because they knew the trouble that they would be in if people knew. And there are so many different fashion trends, Tracy. You're right. People stole your dance moves in school. Well, there you go. You must have been a very good dancer. Now, here's a question. Put yourself as a teenage girl in Salem Village in 1692. I'm sorry to hear that, Kelly. That's a terrible thing. Picture yourself there. You're watching all these other girls get attention for the first time from adults, clergy, doctors, the entire community focused on them. Would you be tempted to join them? Be honest. Drop yes if you would. No if you simply would not do that, or maybe. I don't know. If I was a teenager and I believed in and I wanted friends, and I wanted to be part of something, I don't know, maybe I would say yes. Definite peer pressure, absolutely. Children were not, they were told that silence is golden, that it is best to be seen and not heard. So yeah, some people would not want that attention for themselves, but these girls, I appreciate your honesty. I really don't know. I don't know what I would do in that moment. And that is why this case is so disturbing, because most of us can see exactly how it happened. It's not about being evil, it's about being human. Because here's what is actually happening. These girls have discovered something so powerful. When they convulse and scream, the entire community stops. Men actually listen to them. Adults fear these girls. They have attention, sympathy, and most importantly, they have power. In a world where women, especially young women, had zero power, and I'm talking zero, the feeling of being listened to, the feeling of being heard, the feeling of getting attention is intoxicating. It's addictive. And unfortunately, it's about to become deadly. Let's take a intermission, 10 minutes. Get you a drink, get you a snack, and when we come back, we're going to continue our first case, case number 1, the Salem witch trials. I'll be right back. Did y'all get all the school stuff done? Hello, Kathy Mitchell. Welcome in, welcome in. Hey, Rebecca, how are you? Thank you all for being here on the first night of Paranormal Files Live. I am so excited. This is a new birth. This is a new opportunity to grow as a family, as a community, and embrace the paranormal, which we all love. Um, I saw a movie over the weekend. It was about the Salem witch trials, and I was just infuriated at everything that happened to these women. And crazy. You like it, Nikki? Oh, good. I'm so, so glad. So we're going to be on here Mondays, Wednesdays, and Fridays. So go ahead and mark that on your calendar. And then tomorrow night will be Super Fan Live on Twisted Tales Live, and I will be doing Cherry Hill. Oh, I would have too. I would have been burnt just as easy as anything. They would have, yeah, I would have been burned at the stake. It's just fact. It was insane. There were some parts of it that I cried over. I just could not believe it. I mean, these people absolutely went off the rails. They absolutely were insane. Just absolutely insane. Let's keep sharing the live. Let's keep sending up those likes. We are starting over brand new here. This is a live that we are starting as a baby from the ground up. Just talk about it, share it out, 5 friends, 10 friends, share it. Thank you so much, Rebecca. Thank you. Hey, Diana. Let's start sharing it. Let's start tapping. Tap, tap, tap. All right, we're going to get back into it. Welcome back to Paranormal Files Live, where case 1 is the Salem witch trials. So, Betty and Abigail have just been dealing with something that they should not have been dealing with because of the maid Tituba, who showed them a way of seeing what their future husbands were going to be. As a result of it, Betty comes down with a mysterious attack on her body. We lean toward it being possession, but I also lean toward it being a bid for attention. So at this point, with both Betty and Abigail being afflicted, he's desperate, and his daughter is possessed by something. Prayer isn't working, so he calls for Dr. William Griggs, which is the village physician. And Dr. Griggs is a a well-meaning man, but he's working with 1692 medical knowledge. He believes in the four humors, and that is blood, phlegm, yellow bile, and black bile. And he treats illnesses with bloodletting, purging, and of course, prayer. Let me take you into that examination now, seekers. February the 14th, 1692. Dr. Griggs arrives at the Paris home, and Betty is in the midst of a fit, thrashing on her bed. Abigail rocks in the corner. She's moaning. Dr. Griggs steps in out of the cold. He's stern, professional. How long has she been like this, Reverend? Reverend Paris is desperate and frightening. 3 weeks now, Doctor. 3 weeks of torment. Prayer does nothing for them. Fasting does nothing. She tears Bible pages and screams when I read scripture. What manner of illness is this? Dr. Griggs approaches Betty laying on her bed and begins to examine her. Let's see the child. Dr. Griggs checks Betty's pulse, examines her eyes, looks for signs of fever, of infection, of disease. He finds her pulse erratic, but strong. Her skin is cool, no fever. Her eyes are dilated but unresponsive. Her body shows no signs of physical illness whatsoever. And yet, she continues to thrash and moan. So Dr. Griggs looks at Reverend Harris, and he's confused and he's troubled. There's no fever, no rash, no physical signs of disease, Reverend. But Reverend Paris is pressing. Then what is it? What afflicts my daughter and these other girls in this village? Dr. Griggs takes a long pause and he's weighing his words. Reverend Paris, I practiced medicine for 20 years. I've seen fevers, infections, plagues. I've seen children sicken from natural causes. These symptoms that your daughter is exhibiting is not natural. Reverend Paris whispers, afraid God himself will hear it. What are you saying, Doctor? Dr. Griggs is grave, but certain. I am saying the evil hand is upon them. Your daughter, these girls, they're under an evil hand, Reverend. The evil hand, in Puritan terminology, that means one thing: witchcraft. Dr. Griggs has just diagnosed witchcraft. Not because he has evidence, not because he's a superstitious fool, but because he's a man of his time, working with limited knowledge. And when you can't find a natural explanation, what do? The supernatural becomes the only answer. Those 6 words, sorry. The evil hand is upon them will lead to 24 deaths. Reality check here, seekers. In 2025, we still do this. When we don't understand something, we reach for explanations that fit our world view. What is the modern equivalent today of the evil hand diagnosis? When something goes wrong today and people blame it on something without real evidence. What do people today blame for problems when they don't actually understand what's happening? Some of the things could be vaccines causing autism, 5G towers, chemtrails, the Illuminati, election fraud, etc. We like to think we're so much more enlightened than 1692, but we still do the same thing. We blame mysterious forces we don't understand. We find scapegoats. We create simple explanations for complex problems. Scary thought, seekers. Could a modern Salem happen today? Just with different targets? Drop a yes if you think it could, or a no in the chat. That's right, Shirley. Anything that can't be seen or understood. Kathy says yes. Palm says yes. Tracy says possibly. So, an interesting split here. Well, most of them say yes. Those of you who said yes, keep in mind as we continue, those who said no, I don't really have anyone that said no, but I'm going to challenge someone who was even thinking it but may not have put it in the chat. I'm going to challenge the assumption of what you're thinking before we're done tonight. Once Dr. Griggs delivers his diagnosis, everything changes. This is no longer a medical mystery. This is a spiritual crisis. If these girls are bewitched, someone is obviously doing the bewitching. A witch or witches, plural, hiding in Salem Village. And that thought is absolutely terrifying. Walking among them, pretending to be a Christian while they are secretly serving Satan. The village elders meet. Minister Paris, Thomas Putnam, the porters, every powerful man in Salem Village gathers to discuss the crises. They pray, they fast, they consult other ministers from nearby towns. And then they do what authorities always do when facing the inexplicable. They demand answers from the victims. So they are called forward by these four men, and they demand to know who is tormenting them. The girls are ordered that they must name their tormentors. Because if they don't, because if the witches aren't caught and hanged, the entire community could fall to Satan. But the girls are silent for days. They're silent. Why? Why do you think that they were silent? Now here's where things really get bizarre. Because while the girls refuse to name names, the community gets desperate. And desperate people have a tendency to do desperate things. So Mary Sibley, which is an aunt of one of the afflicted girls, Mary Walcott, decides to use folk magic, specifically counter magic, to identify the witch. This is very interesting. So she orders Tituba and her husband, John Indian, to bake a witch cake. Seekers, you're about to hear something so truly bizarre. When I first heard about this, when I first read about it, I just shook my head. I was like, what? And I want reactions in the chat as I explain this. Are you ready? Let me know. So, what's a witch cake? Let me tell you. You take rye meal, flour made from rye grain. You mix it with the urine of the afflicted girls. Yes, you heard me correctly. Urine. You bake it into a cake. You feed it to a dog. And supposedly, the witch who's tormenting the girls will be revealed. The dog will either lead you to the witch, or the witch will cry out in pain, exposing herself. Have you ever heard of anything so insane in your life? Right. This is the level of superstition that we are dealing with in this time. The community is so terrified that they're literally baking urine cakes and feeding them to the dogs. When Reverend Paris finds out about the witch cake, he is absolutely furious. He gives a sermon condemning Mary Sibley for using the devil's tools to fight the devil. But the damage is already done. The idea that witches can be identified, can be caught, is now planted. And finally, the girls speak. It's late February. The pressure is unbearable. The afflicted girls are examined repeatedly. Ministers pray over them. Village elders demand answers. And the girls, they're watching, they're learning, and they're calculating. They see what happens when they name someone, the power that they'll have, the attention, the drama. So they choose carefully. Time for a dark thought experiment, seekers. I need you to really engage with me on this one. Imagine that you are one of these girls and you're terrified. Adults are demanding your name, your tormentors, the entire community is watching. And you have to name someone. Who do you accuse? Think strategically. Who in your community? 1 has no allies. 2 is already disliked. 3 won't be believed if they deny it. And 4 cannot fight back. If you had to accuse someone, I know it's horrible, but if you had to accuse someone, would you choose who would be the safest target? The powerful, the outcast, or the enemies? Who would you blame? Would you blame someone that has no bearing on your life? Again, I would choose an outcast. I would choose someone that no one likes. I would choose someone who's already got a bad reputation. I would choose someone who is not favorable in the community's sight. So I would go for the outcast. And most of you said that outcast or enemies because you're smart. And you know instinctively that accusing someone powerful will backfire on you. And that's exactly what these girls did. They chose. They chose. And who did they choose? They chose Tituba, Indian. She was enslaved, she was foreign, she was powerless. She was already associated with the fortune teller Sarah Good, who was homeless, pregnant beggar who mutters when refused charity. They chose Sarah Osborne, which was an elderly, sick woman who rarely attended church and married her servant. These women had zero allies, zero power, zero chance. Question for you, seekers. Do you think the girls consciously chose vulnerable targets? Or did they just naturally gravitate to people they feared, or perhaps that they disliked? Drop a calculated in the chat, or an unconscious in the chat. You never know. They could have just chosen Sarah Good because she smelled bad, because they were homeless, they were living in a shelter. Maybe that was what it was. Or, maybe it was just unconscious. Maybe they felt like they just needed to call out names because they were being demanded of. Maybe that was what it was. But whatever it was wrong. I personally believe that it could have been calculated. I really do. I think it was calculated. I think these girls knew exactly what they were picking. Right, Tracy, find a bad person. The majority of you said that it could be calculated. A few of you just said just pick the first person. And here's the thing. It could be a mix of both. It could be calculated and unconscious. They might have unconsciously gravitated toward people who scared them or made them uncomfortable. But that unconscious bias served a very calculated purpose. It was survival. 3 women, 3 names, 3 sacrifices to save themselves. Because what if it bounded back on those afflicted girls and they found out that perhaps they were lying or they were not being honest? So the afflicted girls are brought before the village elders and the magistrates. It's late February, cold and dark. Everyone crowds into the meeting house. Now, Magistrate Hawthorne, he is a beast of a man. He's a big man. He's a boisterous man. He's got a very loud voice. He's stern and he's commanding. Children, you must speak. Who torments you? Give us names so we can stop this evil. The girls huddle together and they're shaking. Betty Paris can barely speak. She's 9 years old and terrified of what she's started. But Abigail Williams, Abigail Williams, she's ready. Abigail Williams stands. She's trembling, but she's determined. I see her. I see her even now. And then Ann Putnam Jr. suddenly convulsing. She pricks me. She pricks me with pins. Magistrate Hawthorne yells out, Who? Who pricks you? Give us the name. Abigail Williams starts pointing dramatically. And I want you to picture this scene. This Salem church is packed to capacity. There was something about then that people poured out in droves to see it. This church was packed to capacity. The benches were full. The upper balcony was full. Everyone was there. Everyone. So Abigail Williams is standing on the bottom floor. She points up to the top and she says, pointing dramatically, Tituba Indian. She comes to me at night with a yellow bird. The bird speaks with a woman's voice and tells me to sign the devil's book. Elizabeth Hubbard. Here's Abigail. And it's on now. Sarah Good. I see Sarah Good's spectre. She threatens to cut my throat if I don't sign. The third, Ann Putnam Jr., shrieking, Sarah Osborne! Sarah Osborne sits on my chest and suffocates me. I can't breathe when her spectre comes. And all three of these girls are convulsing, falling to the floor, being pinched, being poked. And there they are. 3 names. Just that quickly. 3 names are called. 3 lives in the balance. Sarah Good, Sarah Osborne, and Tituba Indian. 3 women who in the blink of an eye are marked for death. The magistrate immediately issues warrants. Within hours, Salem Village's constables are dragging these women from their homes. Seekers, drop in the chat. What do you think would have happened if the girls had named powerful men? What if they had named Thomas Putnam? What if they had named Reverend Parrish? What if they had named someone else? What if they'd accused them? What if they had accused men? What do you think? Predictions. What do you think would have happened if they were called out as witches? That's right. It would have been very different in those circumstances. Shirley says nothing. You're right. Palm says it would have been completely different. Kelly says they would have laughed and been in trouble. They would have not got punished or worse. They would have been completely laughed at and told that they were insane and probably suffered severe beatings. And that's just fact. The girls would have been dismissed, punished, possibly beaten. But because they named the powerless, everyone believed in them. Let me paint you the picture of these arrests. Because this is where theory becomes reality. This is where accusations become action. Sarah Good is found in a ramshackle shelter with her husband William and their 4-year-old daughter Dorcas. She's pregnant, about 7 months along. When the constables arrive, little Dorcas clings to her mother's skirts, crying. Sarah's not dumb. Sarah is a very loud, very boisterous, very opinionated woman. And when she hears that she has been accused of witchcraft, she knows she's done. She knows it. She knows how this ends because she's seen witch accusations before and she knows that it doesn't end well. Sarah Osborne, get this. Sarah Osborne was sick in her bed when they came and got her. She was 49, but she looked ancient. She was bedridden, she was frail, she was barely able to walk. Her husband, who was her servant, she had ended up marrying him, and of course, that was a sin. Her husband tries to protest, but they knock him down. The constables don't care. Orders are orders. So they are dragging a 7-month-old pregnant woman with a 4-year-old daughter to prison. They are dragging a sick, frail woman who cannot even walk to prison. And then Tituba is taken from the Paris household. She is Reverend Paris's slave. And he just watches in silence as they take her. Did he beat her before the constables arrived? Probably. He probably did. Historical evidence suggests, yes, that he did. He needed to ensure that she would confess to this. He needed to ensure that she would say exactly what they wanted her to hear and what they wanted to hear. So all 3 of these women are chained, literal iron shackles on their wrist and their ankles, and thrown into Salem's jail. This jail that they are cast into is not what you're picturing. It is a freezing, filthy cell with no heat, no light, no sanitation. And they had to wait there overnight because tomorrow, March the 1st, 1692, the examinations are going to begin. And Salem's nightmare becomes official. So let me show you some pictures. I don't know if you're going to be able to see it. I'm going to try. So that is Salem, Massachusetts. That's the Salem colony. And it is cold and it is dark. This is how it was in the Puritan times. Look how dark that is. It was dark and it was scary. And you had this minister preaching from the pulpit that everything you do is a sin. Everything is a sin. Everything. Here's one that I had created and I thought it was terrifying. But this is really how it was in the Puritan church. It was hellfire. It was damnation. It was nothing about a God that loved you. It was a God that wanted to take you to hell, wanted you to burn for all eternity. This is one under the rule of Samuel Paris. All these people knew it was hell, damnation, and sin. That was it. Now, this is, I want to kind of give you an idea. So, Salem Village is over here. Salem Town is over there, and I know it's backwards, but there's nothing I can do about that right now. But that is Salem Town, and that is Salem Village. Here is a picture that I've had rendered of the girls. Remember that one of these is only 9. One is 12. These girls are pronouncing death sentences on these women. I I personally believe that it became just so crazy, and I think it just blew up. I really, really, really do. March the 1st, 1692. The examinations are initially set for Ingersoll's Tavern, but the crowd is so massive that everyone in Salem Village and neighboring towns, they want to watch it. They move to the meeting house so that everybody can come in. And even then, people are standing outside just to be part of it. So, Magistrates John Hawthorne and Jonathan Corwin will conduct the proceedings. These aren't trials, not yet. These are preliminary examinations to determine if there is enough real evidence to hold the accused for trial. But make no mistake, seekers. Hawthorne has already decided that these women are guilty. He just needs them to admit it. Before we go into that courtroom, seekers, I want to know if you're still with me, if you're ready for what is coming next. Drop an I in the chat. Let me see. Let me see my seekers. Hey, Cher. It did. It got out of hand really, really fast. Very fast. I'm glad that you're still with me because this gets intense. Sarah Good is brought in first. Now, I want you to picture this. You have Sarah, who is standing in this courtroom with all these people surrounding her. And then you have a girl right here that is acting like she is possessed, like she's being inflicted. You got these men that are yelling and screaming at this woman, accusing her of being a witch. So this poor, defenseless woman who only was loud, who only was brash, who only had opinions, who only did not allow people to mistreat her, is now standing here accused of being a witch. Can you imagine how alone that she must have felt? Because she knew that no one was going to side with her. She knew it. The meeting house is packed to capacity. Every seat is filled. People standing along the walls. The afflicted girls are seated together in the front where everyone can see them. These women, they didn't have a chance. They did not have a chance at all. And that is absolutely terrible. So every seat is filled. People standing along the walls. The afflicted girls are seated together in the front where everyone can see them. Sarah Good is brought in. She has spent the night in a cold, dank, dark, stinky cell. And she's 7 months pregnant. She is shackled. She's dirty. She's exhausted. She's pregnant. And she's desperate. So Magistrate John Hawthorne sits at a table in front of the pulpit. He's a hard man, and he's convinced he's doing God's work. And Magistrate Hawthorne, he's cold and accusatory from the very first word. Sarah Good, what evil spirit have you familiarity with? Note that phrasing. He doesn't ask if she has familiarity with evil spirits. He asks what evil spirit. He's already convicted her in his mind. Sarah Good stands pious at the front with her hands folded primly in front of her. But she's bitter and she's defiant. None. Magistrate Hawthorne, have you made no contract with the devil? Sarah Good responds, no. Magistrate Hawthorne leans forward. Why do you hurt these children? Sarah Good, she's got a temper and her anger is rising. I do not hurt them. I scorn it. Magistrate Hawthorne says, who do you employ then to do it? Sarah Good responds, I employ nobody, clutching her 7-month-old pregnant belly. Magistrate Hawthorne, what creature do you employ then? Sarah Good is shouting now. No creature! I am falsely accused by these girls. And that's when the afflicted girls begin their performance. I want you to picture this. These girls on this front row begin to act out in rapid succession, showing the coordinated attack. Ann Putnam Jr. suddenly screams and falls from her seat, her body going rigid. She then screams out, she's pinching me! Sarah Good Spectre is pinching me! Look at the marks! They show their arms to the judges and to the people. And Sarah Good is standing there and looking at these girls and thinking, what in the world is going on? Abigail Williams begins to grab her throat as if she's choking, clutching her throat. She falls to the ground. She's choking me! Her specter sits on my throat! I can't breathe! Elizabeth Hubbard's eyes roll back in her head. Not a hard thing to do. And she collapses, convulsing on the floor. Elizabeth Hubbard then screams between her convulsions, the yellow bird! I see a yellow bird. It's pecking at me. It draws blood. The entire meeting house erupts. People gasp, women scream, children cry because they're seeing it right before their eyes. Sarah Good's specter, that you can't see, by the way, is torturing these innocent souls, these innocent girls. Never mind that specters are invisible to everyone except for the afflicted. Never mind that this is literally impossible to verify. The crowd believes what they see. And you can believe that the people that were in the audience that day, they knew about Sarah Good. They knew that she wasn't the most desirable of neighbors. They knew that she was loud. They knew that she was brash. They knew that she did things. And they didn't like her. So they easily believed that she was a witch. Seekers, pause with me for a second. You just witnessed that scene. When Sarah Good said, "I scorn it," denying the charges, the girls immediately started convulsing. Here is a critical thinking question. If you were in that courtroom, watching those girls scream and convulse, what would you think was happening? Would you think that the girls were being attacked by Sarah Good? That the girls are faking it? That the girls are genuinely believing it, but they're wrong because of mass hysteria? Or you can just say, I honestly don't know what I'd believe. I am a very skeptical person anyway. And I really think that I don't know. I think I would think it would be very odd that all these girls were doing this. I would think they were faking it. And it seems like most of you do too. I think that it was definitely, right, Shirley, I think they were little actresses and they loved the attention that they were given. Have you ever witnessed something that you knew looked real, but your rational mind said that it couldn't be? Like, drop examples for me. What do you think it might have been? Like magic tricks, illusions, performances that fooled you even when you know better? I can see the best magician in the world on America's Got Talent or whatever, and I know they're fake. I know that they can do it and they're able to do it with tricks of the mind, but, and make you think that it's real, but it's not. And I'm telling you that whatever was there in that courtroom was not real. It was all performance. That's right, Cher. It was all performance. It was fake. That's right, Tracy. It was all performance. Our brains can deceive us. Our brains fill in the gaps. And when everyone around us believes something, it becomes very, very, very hard to doubt. So we're back to Magistrate Hawthorne now. So he's seeing all these girls convulsing on the floor, acting like they're having seizures. Sarah Good, do you not see what you have done? Do you not see how you torture these children? Sarah Good is desperate now. I do nothing to them. I am completely innocent. Magistrate Hawthorne then says, then who does torment them? Sarah Good, breaking, saying anything to make it stop, calls out another woman. It is Sarah Osborne, not me. Perhaps it is Osborne who afflicts them. And there it is. The accused turns on another accused. Exactly what the magistrates want. Sarah Good has just confirmed there are witches in Salem. She's not, she's just claiming she's not one of them. Fatal mistake, Sarah Good. She's dragged back to her cell. The crowd buzzes with excitement. One down, two to go. Sarah Osborne is brought in next. She can barely stand. She is sick. She has to be supported by the constables. She's sick, she's weak, and she's confused. Magistrate Hawthorne, Sarah Osborne. What evil spirit have you familiarity with? Sarah Osborne is weak and bewildered, and not only that, she can barely hear. But she hears enough. So weak and bewildered, she says, "None. I am no more a witch than you are. I am more likely to be bewitched than to be a witch." Magistrate Hawthorne, why do you hurt these children? Sarah Osborne responds, "I do not hurt them. I never did such a thing. I was sick in bed these past weeks. How could I hurt these girls?" Magistrate Hawthorne, pressing her harder, "The devil may use your shape without your knowledge. Have you had any strange visions? Unusual dreams?" And here, seekers, Sarah Osborne makes a fatal mistake. She should have been quiet. In her fever and confusion, she tries to explain a nightmare that she had. She thinks it might help her case, but sadly, it doesn't. Sarah Osborne, rambling, trying to explain it. I did have a frightening dream once. A thing appeared to me. It was like an Indian, all black and dark. But it had wings and a face like a woman's. But not a woman. It pinched me and said I should not go to meeting, that I should not go to church. The crowd gasped. An Indian spirit. In the midst of frontier wars with Native Americans, this plays perfectly into their fears. She's just confirmed their worst suspicions. And what happens? The afflicted girls erupt again. They have more violent convulsions. Mercy Lewis begins shrieking, "Her specter! It's here now! The Indian thing! It's attacking us!" Mary Walcott, "She sends it to terrorize us, to rip our flesh!" Betty Paris, the youngest, faints dead away. Whether from genuine fear or performance, we'll never know. Sarah Osborne is removed. She'll die in prison on May the 10th. Never tried, never convicted. Just forgotten. Left to rot in a freezing cell until illness takes her. One more to go. And this examination, seekers, this one will change everything. And now we come to it, seekers. The moment that transforms this from a local crisis into a full-blown witch hunt. Tituba's confession. Understand this. Tituba has been beaten by Reverend Paris, probably to a bloody pulp. We know this from historical records and her own later testimony. He's demanded that she confess to witchcraft. He's told her exactly what to say. And Tituba, she's a survivor. She's been enslaved, dragged across an ocean, trapped in a frozen Puritan nightmare. She knows how to tell people what they want to hear to survive. So when she's brought before the magistrates on March the 1st, 1692, she gives them the greatest performance of her life. Before I show you what she said, I want you to understand something, seekers. Tituba has watched 2 women deny everything and get absolutely nowhere. She's terrified. She knows denial leads to the gallows. She's heard it. She's heard the decision. She's heard the judgment. If you were Tituba, what would you do? Deny everything? Tell the truth, hope justice prevails? Confess? Tell them what they want to hear and survive? 1 second. Would you deny everything? Would you confess? Would you blame someone else? Or would you say nothing? Thank you, Julie. I think that I'd be smart. I think what Tituba was actually, I think she saw what had happened to the other 2, to Sarah Good and to Sarah Osborne, and I think that she, I think she did what she thought would buy her time, honestly. And you know, I can see deny, and it wouldn't do any good. In all honesty, none of it's gonna do any good. But she was trying to at least save her hide for just a few more days. So here's the genius of what Tituba does. One second. She doesn't just confess. She gives them a story. A detailed, terrifying, perfectly calibrated story that confirms every fear they have. Every fear. As I perform her confession, I want you to notice something. Every detail she adds makes the magistrates more excited, not less. She's reading the room. She's giving them exactly what they want. Drop a wow in chat every time Tituba adds a detail that makes you think, oh, she's good at this. Ready? Here we go. Tituba enters the meeting house. Unlike the other two women, she's not defiant. She's submissive. Her head is bowed. She's speaking softly so everyone has to lean in to hear. Magistrate Hawthorne. Tituba, did you ever see the devil? Tituba. Quiet. Building. Yes. The devil came to me. The room goes dead silent. A confession. An actual confession. Magistrate Hawthorne, urgent and leaning forward. What did the devil look like? Tituba. Sometimes he come as a man. A tall man from Boston, dressed all in black, with white hair. He say I must serve him. Magistrate Hawthorne. And did you serve him? Tituba carefully responds. He say I must, or he kill me. He beat me, he pinched me. See? She lifts her arm up and starts to show the bruises, which were actual bruises from Reverend Paris, but it fits the scene. He say, serve me and I give you pretty things. Refuse and I unalive you. I afraid. I say yes. Magistrate Corwin. What did he exactly command you to do? Tituba continues building the story. He say I must hurt the children, Betty and Abigail. I say no. I love Betty. I would never hurt her. But he threatened me. He say he send demons to tear me apart if I don't obey. Brilliant. She's positioned herself as another victim, forced to serve Satan under threat of death. The magistrates are eating this up. Magistrate Hawthorne, what else did you see? Did the devil come alone? Tituba, this is where she really commits. No. There were others. 4 women. Sometimes they hurt the children with me. Magistrate Hawthorne, he's excited. 4? Who were they? Tituba. Sarah Good. Sarah Osborne. And 2 others. I not know their names. They wear hoods. They hide their faces from me. 2 more witches. Hidden. Anonymous. Walking among them right now. The witch hunt just expanded. But Tituba isn't finished. Oh no, Seekers, she's going to give them details so vivid, so terrifying, that they'll never forget. Magistrate Corwin, tell us everything you saw, Tituba. Every detail. Titcha begins to move her arms, her neck. She begins to get into character. The devil, he have creatures, familiars he calls them, animals that serve him. Tituba continues painting the picture. I see a yellow bird, a pretty thing, small and bright. It belonged to Sarah Good. She whispered to it and it flied to the children and pecked them. And there was a hog, a great black hog with red eyes. It followed Osborne wherever she go. And dogs, red dogs, black dogs, cats, a black cat and a great cat. They walk on their back legs like men. They speak with human voices. And a wolf, a great wolf that stands tall as a man. It have yellow eyes and teeth like knives. It say it want to kill the children and drink their blood. The crowd is transfixed. This is beyond anything that they have ever imagined. An entire demonic zoo serving Salem's witches. But Tituba isn't done. She saves the best or the worst for last. Magistrate Hawthorne leans forward and he's desperate for more. How did the devil bind you to his service? Tituba. He have a great book, bound in red leather. All the signatures are written in blood. A book? What kind of book? Magistrate Hawthorne asked. Tituba, he opens it, and it showed me pages filled with writing. He say these are the names of his servants. He say I must sign it. I must write my name in blood. Magistrate Hawthorne barely breathing at this point. Did you sign it? Tituba nodding slowly. He cut my finger. He make me sign with my own blood. He write my name on the page. Magistrate Hawthorne, what else did you see in this book? How many names? Tituba, I count them. I see 9 names. Magistrate Hawthorne's eyes widened to where they're almost going to pop out of his head. 9? Tituba, yes. 9 signatures. I see Good's name. I see Osborne's name and 7 more. 7 others who served the devil. Seekers. She just said 9 names in the devil's book. 9 witches. 6 that are still hidden. Is this brilliant on her part, or is this terrifying? She's just ensured the witch hunt will continue. They'll have to find 6 more witches now. Drop brilliant, or terrifying, or both. What she is able to create right there on the spot in front of these magistrates is just mind-boggling to me. It's both. For me, it's just wow. Wow, wow, wow. Right. It's brilliant, and it's buying her time for now. But, right, Shirley, she's going to be executed anyway, but right now, she is just trying her best to survive. Right, Alabama? Yes, James says both. Alabama says I would have named names. Tracy says both. So it's a brilliant survival strategy for her. Confessed witches don't hang. But it's terrifying for everyone else in Salem because now They're all suspects. 9 names. 9 witches. 3 are identified. 6 more are hiding in Salem. This single statement, 9 names, will lead to 200 accusations and 24 deaths. Because now everyone in Salem is looking at their neighbors with suspicion. Anyone could be one of these 6 remaining witches. The midwife who delivered your baby, the farmer who sold your grain, the woman who sits next to you in church, your friend, your sister, your mother, anyone. And that is where we're going to end part 1 of the Salem witch trials. I'm having a lot of fun going into detail with you on this. Case number 1 is exciting. Now, tomorrow night, I will be back on Twisted Tales Live for Super Fan Tuesday, Cherry Hill. That's right. I didn't forget. You are most welcome. It is very sad, and it only gets sadder, unfortunately, I'll be honest. But it is so real. So glad that everyone enjoyed it. Wednesday night, we will take up right where we left off. So Tituba has put on a performance. She's called out 6 names, and we're going to find out who those next 6 are. If you enjoyed it, and if you were new, we will be back Wednesday night at 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern here on Paranormal Files Live. And then Friday night, we will take up the 3rd part and continue. And, you know, that will be the end of that. And that will be 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern as well. So enjoyed it. Let's start sharing this out. Let's start sharing. That's how Paranormal Files Live is going to get known. Thank you so much for following. Thank you so much for liking. Thank you so much for gifting. Thank you so much for being here. It has been a real pleasure. Tomorrow, Twisted Tales Live, 8 o'clock p.m. Eastern. We're going Cherry Hill. More witches. I'll see you tomorrow night.